All right, we are back from My Deck Tech. I'm BBD with Todd Anderson, and I'm playing Blue-White-Red Geist, aka Swayze Special.
Yeah, I was going to call it the Swayze Shuffle, because that's what he calls his blog, but I don't know.
This is a Larry Swayze build, which is why there's a lot of random numbers going on here.
Yeah, we'll get to those in a second. But so I just want to talk a little bit about Larry. He's a bit of a modern connoisseur. I don't want to say a modern master, because I think that's a little too pun-heavy, even though I know that's what you would want to do. But he tends to win a lot at Modern. He usually posts his decks on like Facebook or his blog, and he used to write for StarCityGames. I don't think he does anymore,
He does
though.
not.
But he's a cool guy, and he always has really cool ideas. And every Modern season, he comes back with a different take on blue, red, white Geist of St. Traft. That's kind of like his go-to in the format. Though he does have a lot of experience with other archetypes, this is kind of what he's been focusing on for the most part for like the last year or two. So anyway, Brian, take it away.
Yeah, so as Todd said, Geist of St. Traft is kind of the focal point of the deck. We have like Lightning Helix and Bolt and Path Exile to like clear the path for Geist early on. Electrolyze also can do that sometimes as well.
Electrolyze is just one of the biggest beatings in this format, man. Like,
it is, yeah.
It's either just like 3 mana, draw a card, deal some irrelevant amount of damage to the opponent, or just a complete and utter destruction.
Or it's just like 70 for 1 year.
Yeah.
Draw a card.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because this deck is like a tempo deck with, you know, Snapcaster, Vendilion, Click, Burn spells, Geist, we're playing Remand over Mana Leak because it doesn't matter that much if they eventually resolve their spells if they're dead.
Yeah.
So Remand draws us a card, keeps the gas coming, and provides a huge tempo boost. One of the sweet things about this deck is we have Keranos and Batterskull, so we can actually win games that go long. We're not just tied into having to kill them quickly with Geist. And because of all of our removal spells and Path to Exile and things, it's pretty easy for this deck to drag the game out against pretty much anything.
Yeah, and Lightning Helix too. You know, like against like the more aggressive decks in the format, being able to like kill a guy and gain 3 life is going to extend the game longer, and that sort of plays into the Restoration Angel Keranos Batterskull plan as opposed to the Geist plan.
Right, and also you know, Snapcaster with Helix is another huge beating against those decks as well. Restoration Angel plays a pretty insane role in this deck. You can reset Vendilion Clicks. Reset Snapcaster Mages, so if you have like 5 mana, you can resto your Snapcaster and bolt them. You can also reset Geist of St. Traft after you've attacked. So like, you attack them, they block with like a Kitchen Finks. You resto your Geist and just hit them for 4 with an Angel. You just get like a free Flame Javelin out of your Restoration Angel, essentially. So this deck has a lot of offensive power. We also have Celestial Colonnade too for games that go long. That's just another way to bring some...
Oh, yeah, and Moorland on too. We got five lands that give them the business, which I do appreciate. One thing I do want to talk about is the ability of this deck's potential to play both aggro and play defense. I think Restoration Angel is a perfect example of that because it's so aggressively costed at 4 mana to be a 3/4 flyer with flash, meaning you can play during combat. Your opponent really has no idea whether they should try to play around Remand, Snapcaster Remand when you have 4 mana, or Restoration Angel. Like, some people will want to attack first, and much like Mistbind Click out of Fairies, it's really hard to play around both like Cryptic Command and Mistbind Click. It's similarly hard to play around Restoration Angel and Remand, or like Snapcaster Bolt or Snapcaster Lightning Helix, etc. So this deck's very good at playing both. Like, it's amazing how powerful Snapcaster Mage is on defense, and in decks with Lightning Bolt, he's also just absurd on offense too.
Yeah. This deck really, like, it's a tempo deck, but it definitely does play both roles like very easily. And the sideboard kind of takes advantage of that too, which like you can switch into a completely different role with the sideboard.
Yeah. But do you want to go and get into the sideboard now so we can talk about that a little more?
Yeah. There is one thing I want to note. He's playing Ghost Quarter over Tectonic Edge, which is kind of a weird choice. And I'm not 100% sure why he is, but I think the main reason is just the ability for Ghost Quarter to be done with just a single mana. Yeah,
like you don't need, like Tectonic Edge, it's a little more restrictive. They have to have, you know, 4 mana, 4 lands in play, and you have to spend 1 and sack it. Whereas Ghost Quarter against things like Tron, you can, like, you know, play Geist on 3 on the play. You know, like let's say they play their 3rd land and search for their like 3rd Tron piece or something. On your turn, you have a Geist of St. Traft in play. You can Ghost Quarter them immediately to keep them from playing something like Wormcoil Engine or Karn or some Sunnery Titan or whatever is in their deck. You know, and they don't actually have to have that 4th land in play. So that's important against Tron. I don't know how important it is against other matchups, but It does exactly what you want to do in that it deals with the land that is causing you problems while costing you less mana, which is important in a tempo deck.
Yeah, and this deck's not exactly trying to mana screw them because we do have Path to Exile as well.
Right.
So.
I guess, yeah, that actually is a really good point, too. So.
But let's jump into the sideboard. All right, as you can see from the sideboard, we have a combination of white spells, red spells, blue spells, and artifact spells.
That is a menagerie of colors and or artifacts.
It's a fantastic colored. It's a fantastic set of colored spells to have in a sideboard of a deck of those same colors. So we have Anger the Gods and Pillar of Flame, and Engineered Explosives, and that goes into what I was saying before of like the deck's ability to change into a control deck post board.
Mm-hmm.
You can side out your Geists and bring in stuff like this, and just kill them with like Snapcaster, Recursion, and just all this cheap and effective removal.
Yeah, and also Batterskull. You get the second copy of that along with the Karanos. That it gives you this really powerful control plan that when you're just trying to kill every creature they play, and then you just have these giant threats that are really tough to deal with later in the game.
There's two Counterfluxes, which are... I've actually played this deck in a PTQ before, and Counterflux was insane for me against like decks like Scapeshift, Tron, just things where you just you want to counter their Karn or their Scapeshift or just whatever without worrying about whatever they're going to do back to you. Like they can't condescend you back, they can't remand you or cryptic command you or whatever.
Important note against counterspells in this format. I think that a lot of people don't take advantage of the fact that remand can remand your own spell in response to a counterspell, and that's particularly powerful against Counterflux, since Counterflux itself can't be countered. A very strong play is to remand your own Scapeshift or what have you in response to the Counterflux. So that is an alternate game plan that you could implement against something like Counterflux, but yeah, I just want to point that out. Sorry.
Yeah, another sweet thing about Counterflux is you can actually counter like all copies of Storm and stuff too if you overload it.
Overload against nice Grape Shot, bro.
Yeah.
Nice Empty the Warrens.
Counter them all.
Yeah.
Combust, very good against like Splinter Twin. Can also be good against like decks that are randomly playing like Restos or Baneslayers or whatever.
It also kills Celestial Colonnade in any sort of like blue-white-red mirror, like if you play against Sean McLaren's deck or anything like that. So.
Also kills Mistbind Click.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
Aven Mind Sensor is a card that is okay. Like I'm not going to say that this is like a great card, but it is a solid role player in a lot of matchups.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of shuts down Birthing Pod, which I like a lot. And it has Flash and Flying. I don't know if this card's actually better than Hushwing Griffin. I think they're pretty similar in what they do, although I think Aven Mind Sensor is a little more flexible. It gives you a good card against Scapeshift, whereas Hushwing Griffin's really only good against Birthing Pod, I think.
Yeah, well, Hushwing Griff also shuts out your own Snapcasters and Restos, too, which is a big problem.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And then Wear Tear, good against...
Artifacts and or enchantments.
Yeah, artifacts and enchantments. Wear Tear is good against those. And then Celestial Purge is good against...
Wait for it.
Black or red permanent cards.
Okay.
Yep. Right. But that's the sideboard. Fairly straightforward for the most part. And let's get to battling and see whether Combust can outclass Mistbind Click or vice versa.
I'm going to guess Combust is not going to be able to target Pack Rat, and that's going to be big game.
It will not do that.